Good to see you. Joyeuse fête des pères, tout le monde. Je souhaite à tous les pères à travers le Canada une excellente célébration de leur contribution à leur famille, à notre pays. Je veux que chaque jeune homme puisse fonder une famille, acheter une maison, avoir des enfants si c'est son vœu. Et on doit créer un pays où cette promesse est disponible à tout le monde. Malheureusement, après 11 ans des libéraux, ça coûte trop cher pour plein de jeunes hommes et de jeunes femmes pour fonder une famille. Et c'est ce qu'il faut. C'est ça l'objectif des conservateurs. Nous sommes ici aujourd'hui pour avancer ça. Happy Father's Day, everybody. I want to wish every father out there, including my own, Don Poilievre, an excellent celebration. I regret that I'm away from my munchkins today, but they did give me an advanced card before I left Ottawa. Our mission is to make this a country where every young man who wants to have a family can afford to do so, to start a family, buy a home, raise kids, feed them good food, meat and potatoes on the dinner table every single night, hockey, soccer, and all kinds of other activities. Unfortunately, after a decade of liberal inflation, a lot of young men and women cannot even dream of starting a family because home ownership is out of reach. They're struggling to find jobs, food, gas, and other costs have exploded due to liberal inflation. And here's my question to you today. Where's your bailout? You, the single mother who has to turn back items at the grocery checkout. Where is your bailout? The young couple who can't afford a home. Where is your bailout? The auto worker in Windsor who's lost his job because Canada is the only country in the G7 in a recession. Where is your bailout when you are lined up in a food bank that is run out of food because Mark Carney has given Canada the worst food price inflation in the G7? Where is your bailout as you fill up your tank with $1.70 or $1.80 a liter gas because Mark Carney has given us a weak dollar that cannot buy enough energy on the global stage? Where is your bailout? Because Mark Carney's seems to have a bailout for anyone who's part of the liberal club of power brokers, corporate insiders, and lobbyists. They all get a bailout. The latest example is the bailout that Mark Carney announced for developers and banks here in Vancouver. Let's just be clear what he's promising. He came here and said he was going to transform 2,200 empty condos into affordable homes using what he called innovative financial tools. What innovative financial tools? It sounds like magic. And normally the innovative financial tool to turn an overpriced empty condo into an affordable home is for the price to drop until someone can afford to buy or rent it. So why not just let that happen? Well, Mr. Carney answered that question. He said because the developers do not want to lose money. All right. Well, they took a risk. They decided they wanted to build those condos at a time that we were in a housing bubble, but now they're selling those houses those homes at a time when the housing bubble has burst. So the risk did not pay off and they would lose money. Well, somebody's going to lose money here because if the condo goes from expensive to less expensive, who's going to pay the difference? Well, Mark Carney wants you, the taxpayer, who's struggling with mortgage payments, grocery bills, and high gas prices, to pay those losses instead of the developers who took the risk in the first place. He wants to privatize the profit and socialize the losses. In other words, make you pay the price. This is a transfer of wealth by Mark Carney. It is a transfer of wealth from the have-nots to the have-yachts, whom Mark Carney wants to bail out. Now, let's just quickly recap how we got here. The Liberal Party caused the worst housing bubble in the world and the worst in Canadian history over the last 7 years. They doubled housing costs. They rose faster in Canada than in any other G7 country, by far, to levels we had never seen before. And they did this by inflating demand with out-of-control inflation and money printing and blocking supply with bureaucracy and taxes on builders. So some of those builders thought they would sell into these high prices, but then the liberal housing bubble burst. Now they're losing money, and instead of letting those losses go to the people who made the decisions, ultimately Mark Carney wants you to pay the price. And of course, this is not just developers, it's banks, because they are the ones who financed these projects in the first place, and they risk losing on default. So in order to avoid that, we have the Prime Minister, a Liberal Prime Minister, forcing you to pay the price. This is the economy he has created. There's a tiny club of connected Carney insiders, power brokers, lobbyists, and corporate lobbyists who get all the benefit, and you get all the loss. You are stuck holding the bag. We think that's wrong, and that's why Conservatives are announcing today that we are calling on the Carney Liberals to cancel the bailout of developers and banks. And instead, if you want affordable housing, get rid of all the red tape and taxes on home building and let builders build, workers work, buyers buy, and investors invest. In an open and free market, that is the only way to deliver housing that is truly affordable to both taxpayers and home buyers. We want to make this the fastest place in the world in which to get a permit. We want to take all federal taxes, and we want to incentivize all municipal and provincial taxes to be removed from home building so that our builders can provide us with an abundant supply of houses that people can own and mortgages they can pay off. At the same time, we believe that the government should cut its own spending on bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, handouts to fake refugees, corporate welfare, and other waste so we can bring down inflation, debt, taxes, and other expenses. An affordable government will lead to an affordable life. Sound money will mean you can buy more. That is how we make this country affordable at home, safe at home, and self-reliant at home. Thank you very much. All right. Any questions? Oh.
So, how would you? What was your mind when you think about Liberals' concept this as affordable housing?
It's a joke. If you want those condos to be more affordable, then the developers should lower the price to a level that people can afford to pay. At some point, if the developers want to recover the money that they put in, they will have to, or some of the money they put in, they will have to lower the prices until such time as the people can afford to buy them. That is the solution here. If the price is too high for people to buy, the price must come down until people purchase. And if that means the developers and banks who made this decision lose money, regrettably, that has to happen. Somebody's going to lose money. I don't believe it should be the single mom who's working a minimum wage, or the out-of-work assembly line worker from Windsor, or the logger from British Columbia who can't pay his bills. It should be the bankers and developers who made the decision in the first place.
One more question about the timing of the announcement happened Friday morning.
Well, it seems that Mark Carney was once again trying to pull a fast one. He was, trying to avoid taking responsibility for bailing out bankers and developers at the expense of waitresses, welders, and barbers. And so he did it when everyone was looking at the game and in rightfully celebrating a Canadian victory. So what he should be doing is taking accountability for the fact that while most people can't pay their bills, he's bailing out the most powerful people. And I would just say, we can't build an economy on carve-outs, bailouts, and handouts. We have to build it on rewarding hard work and a bottom-up free market for the people. Well, where's their bailout? If you're one of those people who can't afford to renew your mortgage, Where's your bailout from the Carney Liberals? They're asking you to pay taxes so the developers and banks get bailed out for their bad decisions, and yet there's no bailout for you. All you get is high Liberal taxes and inflation and a recession. And this is what's fundamentally unfair. You, the hardworking people of this country, should have more money in your pocket, and the powerful Liberal club should no longer be allowed to rip you off.
Last question.
Yes.
The very first thing that went through your mind when you read the details.
Well, it struck me very quickly as a bailout. You know, it was presented as a stroke of magic, right? Somehow, the Prime Minister said he was going to use, quote, innovative financial tools to turn expensive, unused, and empty condos into affordable homes. Well, what does that mean? Innovative financial tools. Well, it means the government is going to buy high, sell low, and stick you, the taxpayer, with the price tag. The developer and the banks make off with their profit, and the taxpayer picks up the loss. So there's no free lunch here. Somebody has to pay for the loss. The question is who? And I think it should be the developers and banks who made the financial decisions in the first place. Mark Carney thinks it should be you, the hardworking technician or the hairstylist or welder or waitress, and I don't think that's right. I think the working class people in this country have been paying too much for too long. It's time for someone to think of their well-being and to support them. All right, and I just recognize that it is Indigenous Day, so we celebrate the incredible contribution of our Indigenous people, and we wish all of those from Indigenous communities a wonderful day, celebrating those achievements and the bright future that is ahead. Thank you very much. Happy Father's Day, everyone.